Hello everyone, so welcome back to my channel again. Today we will discuss an interesting poem, A Day. I will tell you how the sun rose by Emily Dickinson. So before I start my class, my as usual request is please if you are new to this channel and if you have not subscribed my channel yet, please don't forget to subscribe the channel and hit that bell icon because your one subscription is a lot of motivation to me. So now without delay, let's start our class. Okay, so A Day. Basically, the poem A Day by Emily Dickinson is a lyrical poem. So, what is a lyrical poem? Lyrical poem is a poem that describes the feelings, internal feelings of a speaker. So, now this poem describes about sunrise and sunset. And if we have to talk about metaphysical sense, the sense that goes beyond the physical description or beyond the language or linguistic description of that text, then the poem is about the very beautiful portrayal of life and uncertainty of death. How life and uncertainty of death are being portrayed beautifully through the lyrics of this poem is presented here. Okay, so moving forward, now let's know something about the author or the poet, Emily Dickinson. So, of course, now she was born in 1830 and then she died in 1886, and she is basically known for her bold original verse. Okay, for what she is known? She is known for her old and original, bold and original verse. So bold now means she writes very directly and very openly about her mentality, about her thoughts. Then she uses extensive dashes, dots, and unconventional capitalization. So through these way of unconventional writing, she wants to portray very real thinking style, of very real thought process of human being. Then she writes about the wonders of nature, the identity of the self, death and immortality and love. So these are few things for which she is quite known, for which she is quite popular. Okay, so let's move ahead. So let's talk about her family structure. How was her family structure? So basically, she lived much of her life in isolation. Then she was penchant for white clothing. Penchant means she used to adore white clothes. Then she was reluctant to greet guests, means she was a very introvert person. She used to live isolated in her room, and she never married. So in her most of poem, we find a kind of feelings of loneliness. Okay, where she feels to express her loneliness or a kind of deep psyche about a lonely life. Okay, so talking about some of her popular poems, these are some of her popular poems like Wild Nights, I felt funeral in my brain, I'm nobody, who are you? Okay, so because I could not stop for death, my life had stood a loaded gun. Tell all the truth, but tell its land. I taste a liquor never brewed. Look at here. So these are all the poems that basically from the title itself we can have that sense of notion that she writes about a kind of despair, a kind of hopelessness. Instead of saying hopelessness, a kind of desperation with life, a kind of frustration with life, a kind of lonely life, and nobody knows what could be the reason. So we should go more into more detail and into more depth to know about why she wrote such kind of poems. Okay, dear learners. So move ahead. So moving ahead, let's talk about types of poetry. Since this is a lyric poetry, a lyric poem, basically we have three kinds of poems. First one is a narrative poem or narrative poetry. Such poems they tell a story about somebody. They narrate a story, so they are called narrative poetries. Then next one's dramatic poetry. So in such poems, there is a use of drama to present speech of one or more characters. Then here third one is lyric poetry that we have already discussed. Lyric poetry or lyric poems, they express the thoughts and feelings of single speaker. Okay, so these are the basic ideas about the types of poetry. I hope you got the point here. So let's move ahead. Now moving ahead, let's discuss about some of the poetic devices that are found in Emily Dickinson's poem. So First is imagery. So she uses vivid kind of language to express the images of emotions, feelings. So what is imagery? If we have to talk about imagery, then imagery is a literary device that refers to the use of figurative language to evoke a sensory experience or create a picture with the words for a reader. So now what is a figurative language? Okay, so figurative language is a language, yes or not, that basically so brings figure in the reader's mind when they go through any poem, story, or any novel. That kind of language that brings figures inside the mind of the readers. Okay, so now moving ahead, why do the authors they use figurative language? Because they want to communicate feelings, thoughts, and ideas through such descriptive language. And now look at here some more examples of figurative language or images used in everyday speech. So look at here the examples that have been brought from the wide known literature are like my bounty is as boundless as the sea, my love is deep. So this line is brought from Romeo and Juliet. Next one is there is daggers in Min's smiles from Macbeth. Sigh no more, ladies, sigh no more. Meanwhile, deceivers ever one foot in sea and one and so to one thing constant never. Much ado about nothing. Very interesting stanza. If I be wasp's best, beware my sting. From the taming of the shrew. Good night, sweet prince, and flights of angels sing thee to thy rest from Hamlet. Lovers and madmen have such seething brains, such shaping fantasies that apprehend more than cool reason ever comprehends from night's dream. Midsummer's Night's Dream. Okay, so moving ahead now, symbols are also used in literature. So what is a symbol? Symbol is any image or thing that stands for something else. So that becomes what? That becomes symbol. In literature, symbols are often characters, settings, images, or other motifs that stand in for bigger ideas. Authors often use symbols or symbolism to give their work with more meaning and to make a story be about more than events it describes. So, symbols are used to give ideas about some other thing. So now moving ahead, so look at the examples of some symbols. Suppose rainbow is used as a symbol of hope and promise in writing. Similarly, red rose is used as a symbol of love and romance. Four-leaf clover is used as the symbol of good luck or fortune. Similarly, wedding ring is used as a symbol of commitment and matrimony. So these are few examples, and similarly, dollar sign is used as a symbol of money, earnings, wealth. Okay. So now moving ahead, in Dickinson's poetry, we often find metaphysics, the sense that takes us beyond this physical realm, beyond this physical existence of our life, something that is beyond the physical experience of our life. So what is metaphysical kind of writing notion? So metaphysics is a philosophy which is used in literature to describe things that are beyond the description of physical existence. Okay. In literature, metaphysical is often used with poetry. It is a type of poetry writing. So during the 17th century. Now, etymologically, metaphysical is a combination of two words. We know meta and then physical. So the meanings are clear that it deals with the things that are beyond this existence of the physical world. Meta physics. So meta means now beyond, physics means that is present here. So something that is not present, that is beyond this life, that is beyond the life that we are experiencing. So experiencing such thoughts, talking about life after death, talking about universe, talking about soul, talking about God. These are the issues that are included in metaphysical writing. I hope you got the point here. So moving ahead now, okay, so the same things that I have already discussed. In metaphysical writing, we basically find the speaker questioning about the existence of God. Okay, dear learners, then next we find the tendency of a human beings to perceive the soul, a kind of effort from the speaker to understand the existence and meaning of existence or meaning of life. Then next is to concentrate on the things that exist beyond the soul. Of course, we have discussed this point. Then allows the writers to express their inner thoughts. Metaphysical approach of writing, it allows writers to express their thoughts about something that does not exist on this planet, that exists beyond this life. Okay, so now, before we finally discuss this poem, let's go through the few vocabs. So in this poem, you will find a word called steeples, and steeples is a noun. It means tall towers with a spire on top rising above the roof of a church. Okay, dear learners. Next word you will find is amethyst, is also noun. It means purple precious stone used in making jewelry. Next is bonnets, is also noun. Bonnets means hats tied with strings under the chin worn by babies and women. Then bobolinks, also noun. Songbirds with large, somewhat flat heads, short necks and short tails. Then domini, also noun. A schoolmaster, a pastor or clergyman. Then style is also noun, a set of steps that help people to climb over a fence or wall, especially in the village. So these are the some few important vocabs from this poem which we must know to understand and to be able to interpret this poem. Okay, so let's go through the images, because however we talk in definitions, if we have images in our so in front of us, it becomes quite easy to understand the concept. So look at here. So tower has these three part. The topmost part is called spire. Then this middle part is called lantern. Then the lower part is called belfry, and the whole is called tower. Similarly, amethyst are these purple colored stones. Okay. So now moving ahead, style. What are styles? Now these steps that take us to the SNet upper part of our home, or that helps us to climb the home, house, buildings, or stories. So next images are bonnet. So you can see the image of bonnet is this kind of hat, okay, that especially women wear while going on Sunday church. And then bobolink, these kind of birds that okay present very sweet melodious voice during spring season. Now, so let's start our main content. So the speaker of this poem says, I will tell you how the sun rose, a ribbon at a time, the steeple swam in amethyst, the news like squirrels ran. So the speaker is saying, I will tell you how the sun rose, a ribbon at a time means one pattern of color, one ray of color will come first, then another ray. It will not come at once. Gradually, the sun rises very gradually, very slowly, one ray at a time, then another ray, then another ray. The steeple swam in amethyst head. Look at here, there we have use of personification. Steeples means the uppermost, the towers of the church, they are being compared as here, whom they are being presented as here as person, because we know human beings can swim or animals can swim, but steeples, they are objects, they cannot swim. But since steeples are presented as persons, this technique or this kind of figurative language in literature is called personification. The steeple swarm means they are absorbed, they are covered. In amethyst means purple color. When the first ray of the sun strikes the tower of the church, then it looks purple color, like a diamond that shines with different color. The news like squirrels ran means when morning becomes, then people start to wake up, people start to do their job, people start to do their professions, then it becomes so quickly. The news that morning has come runs like a squirrel. So here, like squirrels ran is what? It's a simile. We know what is simile. Simile is also a figurative language, a comparison that compares to unlike things using like or as. So it's called what? It's called simile. I hope you know this. Okay. So it's called what? It's called simile. The next one, the hills untied their bonnets. Here, okay. Again, the hills are presented as what? The hills are presented as here women, okay, are persons. Actually, hills, they don't cover their heads with bonnets or with caps. They are natural objects, isn't it? They are geographical objects. Human beings, they wear hats, caps, but here the speaker is saying that the hills untied their bonnets means they take off their caps, coverings, the coverings of with those frost, isn't it? and then those snows. As soon as morning comes, with the light of morning, the frost, the mist of all over the hills, they are cleared. And we have seen this especially during early hours of winter season. We see before the sun gets risen, then the hills are covered with the mist, frosts, and then so as soon as the sun rises, then the heat or the light of the sun that clears that covering of the mist. So here the hills, the steeples, they are being personified because they are presented as persons doing something. The bobolings begun means, here look at here, bobolings, they start making chirping or making melodious sound. We must have experienced this, isn't it? Everyone has experienced this when during spring and summer season, as the morning comes, then the birds they start to chirp as if to give the heralding of the morning, to give the sign of morning. Then I said softly to myself, that must have been the sun. Okay, so this is how the speaker is saying, how she comes to know, how the speaker of this poem comes to know the morning has come, through the sun that hits at the tower of the church, through the sun that makes everyone active, through the sun that clears the mist of the hills, through the sun rising that makes songs sing in a very melodious way. So these are the techniques, these are the ways how she perceives, how she comes to know that the morning has finally come. Okay, so then further talking about, but how he said, I know not. Look at here. Here he, so she is, or the speaker is addressing son as he. He means here what? He means here son. But how he said, I know not. The speaker now look at here. She says that, the speaker says that she knows how morning rises, how morning comes, but she does not know how evening comes. Now this is quite, isn't it, contradictory. A person who knows how life gets, but a person who does not know how life will end. Here, if we have to talk about metaphysical sense of this poem, then the same thing comes. You know how people are born, or you know how you were born, but you never know what consequences you will have. You never know how you will die. Actually, yes, of course, dying is a matter of prediction, dying is a matter of future. We don't know, nobody knows how one will die, isn't it? No one knows how one was born. Listening the story, listening because of from listening the story from parents, but how he said, I know not. The speaker says that she is ignorant about the sun setting. There seemed a purple style. Look at here. Style means a step that help you climb the building. So purple style means during evening time, the stairs of houses, they are again so hit by the struck by that light purple color of that setting sun, with little yellow boys and girls were climbing all the while. So here, yellow boys and girls, he says that, okay, yellow boys and girls. Okay, she refers that the boys, little kids, they were yellow. Here, I don't think the speaker is being a kind of racist, but basically the speaker is trying to say that the evening light that also strikes these kids and that changes their color. Yellow boys and girls were climbing all the while, means now every children after their school, they return to their home and then they start to go inside their houses, till when they reach the other side, a dominie in grey put gently up the evening bars and led the flock away. Okay, so now look at here. Then further the speaker says that there comes a dominie. Here dominie is a master, a caretaker, put gently up the evening bars. Finally, when children they enter into their buildings, into their house area, then their house area garden is what blocked by the bars. That bars in the past time they didn't used to have like concrete walls. If we have to talk about those chestnut people who live in rural part, they use these kind of bars to mark their area, and they put up the bars to stop unwanted guests to enter into their area. So this is how when evening comes, she does not know how the sun sets, but she knows that when evening comes, people return back to their home and they close the doors of their houses, and then everyone dies. Everything dies, everything becomes silent, and then, of course, night comes and the day ends. So, this is how, if we have to talk about like setting of the sun, rising of the sun, then simply, yeah, we can say that the rising of the sun could be compared with the birth, and then the whole day can be compared with the life duration, and the setting of the sun can be compared with the death of a human life. So this is how a single day can be here metaphorized with the life and death. So now talking about this thing, we have already discussed that this is a poem is that has a metaphysical sense about life and death. Okay, so this poem is a transition, or it shows transition from birth to death. Now, dear learners, I hope you have got the point. And finally, so if you have liked this video, please do not forget to hit the like button and give your comments under the comment section. And so do not forget to share this video among your friends, because your one subscription, one sharing, is a lot of motivation for me. So thank you, dear learners. You gave your time. Have a good day. We will meet you soon.